to the Talent Optimization Podcast, the go-to podcast for CEOs and HR professionals wanting to bridge the gap between the strategy and tactical implementation of talent optimization within their organizations. Through interviews, predictive index, and personal experience, your host, Traci Scherck, helps you discover the facets of talent optimization from both a CEO and HR perspective to truly create the dream team for your organization. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening in each week to our podcast, which is Talent Optimization. My name is Traci Scherck, and I am the Chief Talent Officer here at Elevated Talent Consulting. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your engagement on our LinkedIn posts. And thank you for showing up and doing that magical thing that you do every single day at work and at home. So today we're going to chat about gratitude. And let me tell you, this month we have some amazing guests on our podcast that you're going to want to catch throughout the month. And that specifically includes Quint Studer and it includes Jen Zahari. So please be sure to pay attention to those as they drop every Thursday. So with that, why is gratitude so important? And what the heck is it, right? So here's the gratitude effect. It is a ripple of acknowledgement and appreciation that surges forward, transforming and inspiring us. It improves business outcomes. The more gratitude going around, the more human connections are being made, and the more collaboration, engagement, and innovation across the organization. Moreover, when recognition is given frequently throughout the year, the impact of that positive reinforcement is even greater. And that came from a recent Forbes article called The Business Impact of Gratitude. And I just thought that that definition was so beautiful, right? This gratitude effect. It's this ripple. And we never know by saying thank you, the impact that has. That can be that defining moment on someone's day. That thank you, especially to the mundane tasks that individuals are doing day in and day out and feel like no one is paying attention to, that gratitude that is specific to the person and to the impact that that thing had is going to propel them into the future because we remember those key things. And gratitude can be done in so many different ways. It can be a thank you note in the mail. And, one of my friends, Jamie Shibley at the Expressory, does an amazing job of sending out handwritten cards for businesses and really showing that gratitude to clients and to staff for what they do for you in your business. So, one of the key things that I am so incredibly grateful for is my husband and my two boys. So my husband has this amazing way of making sure that things are done in a very, very specific order and that everything is done pretty much on time. And I have to tell you, we make such a perfect team because we really complement each other. So if you follow predictive index at all, I'm a maverick, which means I'm take charge, take action, very sociable, out in front, get things done, and unrelentless with a no, right? Whereas my husband is someone that is very, very thoughtful. He really thinks things through. He is going to check in with the team or check in with me before he makes a decision. So I feel really included. And then he's going to check every single item and dot every I and cross every T before something gets done. So we had been working on a project this fall, and within that project, we were looking at some drainage tile and some of those kind of things. And we had a contractor working with us, and the contractor missed so many things that Ryan was able to catch and make sure didn't cause issues later. So I'm so grateful for his attention to detail and that he includes me on what he's doing. And I share this example not only just to give him kudos, but also really to show how impactful gratitude can be when we really do that in a way that engages the other person and in the way that they want to be recognized. Now, my boys, Q&E, let me tell you, they want to be recognized in private and never in public. So boys, Thank you for so much for what you're teaching me as an extrovert and the two of you being very much introverts. I appreciate that. So as we kind of chat today, I do have a couple things that I want to share as you're kind of looking at, how do you create gratitude in your organization? And let me tell you, you can create a culture of gratitude. So again, what is gratitude? Gratitude is a feeling of appreciation or thanks. There's 3 stages of gratitude. The first is recognition. So recognizing what that is, acknowledging another person, and then showing that appreciation. And so, we can build a better workplace by saying thanks. And there's a lot of different things that we can do by doing that. And this actually came from a Harvard Business Review article. And in that, Harvard Business Review article, one of the things that I thought was so impactful is that as they were digging into the research, here's the quote: the student described how their work funded his scholarship and how much he appreciated their effort. 1 month later, these employees spent 142% more time on the phone and raised 171% more money than those who didn't meet the student. The implication: organizations should hold events where employees can meet people positively affecting their work because they're able to give them that gratitude and emphasize the importance of expressing thanks and appreciation for the work. So when we think about that as human resources and as leaders, when we're giving gratitude to our staff or to our clients or at home to our kids and our spouses, right? How are we linking that to those outcomes that we're creating? And what we kind of saw in jumping in the middle of this article here for a second is really looking at when we can hear the story and feel the gratitude of the impact of our work, we're going to be much more motivated. So, a question: how exactly are you impacting the motivation of your staff by not only sharing your gratitude, but connecting them with specifically that end product or result of what they're doing? And if you listen back through the podcast, I don't remember the number, but it is Christy Metcalf. Christy specifically tells a story about Boeing and how a leader was walking through the organization and they asked one of the individuals on the line, "Hey, what is it that you're doing?" And she said, "Hey, I'm just putting electrical parts together. No big deal. Boring, right?" Well, that leader went out to figure out what exactly the impact of those electrical parts were that this employee was putting together. What it was is those electrical pieces that this employee was putting together actually turned on the emergency lights in the airplane. And she then took it a step further and really found how that impacted the end user, meaning the customers that fly in these airplanes, right? So when we can tie these things together and share the gratitude for the work that our folks are doing, we're going to increase their productivity, which means we're going to increase their engagement, which means we're going to increase the profitability on the organization. So one other thing I wanted to kind of bring up here is gratitude and mental health. So we are coming off of, it feels like 10 years, but more like 18 months plus of COVID, right? And here's the impact of COVID on mental health. And this came from a Berkeley study. The article is called How Gratitude Changes You and Your Brain. And so gratitude and mental health. Gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Gratitude helps even if you don't share it. And gratitude's benefits take time. Gratitude has long-lasting effects on the brain. And so here's another kind of note from the American Psychological Association. And this is that researchers found that 93% of employees who reported feeling valued said that they are motivated to do their best at work, and 88% reported feeling engaged. So among the group, only 21% plan to look for a new job in the coming year. So we all know how expensive employee disengagement and turnover is, especially in the midst of the Great Resignation, right? So if we can turn that around and say, hey, you know what? We are going to live the Great Retention. And one of the best ways we can live and create an amazing culture inside of our organization is to show gratitude for our employees. And then guess what? We can retain staff at a much higher level. So when we can show what we're doing with that, we're going to increase our employee engagement and impact productivity in a very positive way. So often I hear from leaders, gratitude, why the heck should I go tell an employee, thank you for doing what I'm paying them to do? And I just kind of look at them and I'm like, well, how is that attitude working for you? Right? And they kind of look back like, you're going to challenge me on that? And the answer is yes, because here's the thing. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to do meaningful and fulfilling work. And the smallest thank you doesn't cost anything. It just means we're paying attention. And should we be thanked for doing what we're supposed to do every day? What does it hurt, right? So what are the unintended consequences for showing your gratitude and thanks? Well, we just read what the science and the research shows us, right? It's 93% of employees who reported feeling valued and said that they were motivated to do their best work. And 88% reported feeling engaged. Guess what? That's 79% of that workforce that's not going to be looking for work. That's pretty amazing. So with that, we have gratitude. And what does it actually look like to create a culture of gratitude? And how do you do that in your workplace? So there was an amazing article in the In Business magazine in Madison. So I know we have a listenership across the country, and I'm located in the Madison, Wisconsin area. And, one of the key items that really came out of this, how do you show gratitude, is train managers on what gratitude looks like and then hold them accountable for it. So for those leaders listening in today, have you trained your managers on what gratitude looks like in the workplace? Are you holding them accountable for creating that culture and actually saying thank you? And guess what? If you're not doing it and living it, they're not going to either, because they're going to look to you to say, well, you haven't said thanks lately. And yet we have some of the most amazing leaders in our organization that send handwritten notes, right? And those handwritten notes go so incredibly far. So as leaders, are you sending handwritten notes at Thanksgiving or Christmas or on just because days because you notice someone doing something great? That goes so far. And are we creating communication channels, whether it's in Slack or LinkedIn or internal communications, where we can truly share the great things? Because as humans, our brain automatically goes to the negative, and yet our brain is going to look for whatever we tell it to look for. So to create a culture of gratitude, we have to plant those seeds inside of our organization and intentionally plan what that looks like, so we can always bring ourselves back to that. What are some things we're grateful for? So let me just share with you, I'm incredibly grateful for you as our listener. I'm so grateful for my client and our clients here at Elevated Talent, because our clients allow us to do this amazing work of creating fulfilling work for individuals inside of organizations. They allow us to build dream teams by being a partner to our clients. That's a dream job. Thank you to every single client that's out there for allowing us to do this work with you and for you and being that partner. I want to thank our team that is around us, because let me tell you, we could not do this without our team. And it's not just our employees, because I'm going to get there in just a second, but it is that support team. It is the team at Predictive Index, the Damon Clarks of the world that really create the connection, the context, the collaboration. It is the Dan Coursers that really take us under his wing and really teach us what we need to do to make talent optimization something that impacts organizations. It's the Lisa Fursas of the world that are able to kind of, guide and lead and coach throughout our career journey. It is the Jan Smiths of the world that become that coach and kind of that parrot in your ear to say, hey, have you thought about this and in this way? And what is the unintentional consequences of that? So for that support team, I just want to say thank you. And for our staff and contractors of Elevated Talent, man, we couldn't do this work without you. And you make it so much more fulfilling for us. So I just want to thank each and every one of you, and the Terry Creightons of the world and the Jen Hardikars of the world. Thank you for what you do for us and with us every day, and our contractors like Eric Bennett, right? Cashflow Podcasting. So with that, I will stop rambling. But the reason why I did my gratitudes for you is twofold. One, I want to thank each and every one of them. But the second piece of that is really, it's not hard, right? What are those things you're grateful for? So with that, here's some tips as you build a culture of gratitude inside of your organization. Again, we want to train our managers on what that looks like. And you can do exercises like what we just did or what you just listened to of, hey, here's 10 topics. I want you to name one thing you're grateful for in each of these topics. Note the quick thank yous that are specific, authentic, and personal, because that's going to be much more meaningful than a general praise like, hey, you rock. Great. What do I rock at? Is that to me? Is that to everybody in the room? What does that mean? You want to see who is not thanked in the workplace and make sure that they're thanked. So who are those individuals that are doing such an amazing job that they kind of, become the wallpaper, right? I had a leader at one point say to me, hey, Traci, here's the thing with HR. Your goal is not to be noticed, because when you're noticed, we end up on the front page of the paper of something that's not really great. So your job is not to be noticed. I'm like, but I want to be noticed. But yes, but not in that negative way, right? So who are those people inside your organization that need to be thanked because, they're either in thankless jobs or they become invisible? Like I can think of the IT folks. I can think of a lot of our marketing folks that are behind the scenes. I can think of the secretarial or the janitorial staff. So thank you. The next thing is, as you create that culture of gratitude, how can you embed this into your culture? And you want to start every meeting with something positive at work and at home. The question is, well, Traci, why at home too? Because we bring our whole selves to work, right? We really do. And when we can know what's going on at home and really create that environment where we're saying, yes, we're going to support that and we want to support you, we are going to be much more apt to create a cohesive, trusting team inside of our organization. And if you listen back to Jason Lauritsen's podcast, guess what? We can't optimize employees if they are crispy and fried because of things that are going on at home. So we do want to pay attention to that, and we want to celebrate those things. Remember, what we look for is what will actually show up. So, and then as we kind of close this out today, I love this quote. No one who achieves success does so without acknowledging the help of others. The wise and confident acknowledge this help with gratitude. And that was a quote from Alfred North Whitehead. So thank you for listening in. Now, we're not going to leave today without our one key takeaway for HR and our one key takeaway for executives listening in. So for HR, lead by example. Start and end every meeting with a positive. 3 gifts and a grow. Right? So what are those 3 gifts that employee has given to you? And maybe what's one place that they can grow? But having that couched as, I have a grow in here for you because I care so deeply about you. And let me tell you, there are some days where finding gifts in an employee is like, oh my gosh, I have to dig really deep here, but I can find it. We're going to dig really deep to find that. And so you can do it. And guess what? When you give gratitude, it doesn't just impact them, it impacts you because it truly changes your brain. So our next key takeaway for executives listening in is create a culture of gratitude and tie it to your business results. Everything you're doing needs to be tied to that bottom line. We get that, right? You can create gratitudes that directly tie to those business results. And I like to talk about 3 bottom lines. We have the bottom line, which is the dollars. We have the bottom line, which is the employee impact. And we have the bottom line, which is the client impact. Thank you to my nonprofit days, right? So with that, how are you going to tie that to your business results? And that could be those 3 bottom lines. And just remember that the smallest win can be the biggest momentum drivers for an individual because they were acknowledged. I know early in my career, as I'm trudging away inside, I make that sound so melodramatic, and it really wasn't. So I had an internship, and I think I did 650 interviews in the period of 6 months. And I had a supervisor that would see every day what each of us were doing, and she would just kind of poke her head over the top of the cubicle and say, Traci, you did a great job asking that question, or you did a great job of follow-up. She would do that to every single one of us. I think there was 8 interns at the time. And let me tell you, that was exactly what I needed to keep me motivated. And Sarah, thank you. So with that, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing our podcast with your friends. Thank you for joining our talent optimization community. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Talent Optimization Podcast. You'll find more tools and resources for CEOs and HR professionals looking to bridge the strategies versus implementation gap of talent optimization at elevatedtalentconsulting.com. We've also created a free, valuable resource for you to begin bridging the gap called the Talent Optimization Foundation Membership Program. You can access it for free at elevatedtalentconsulting.com/foundation. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode to learn more about talent optimization and creating a dream team for your organization.